Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Irresistible and I'm a manifestation and soul realignment coach. My channel is geared towards helping you become your highest potential so that you can create and live the extraordinary life that is your birthright. In today's video, I'll be talking about the things that I have manifested super fast, and these were all big things for me. But before we get started, just a quick reminder that I offer both email and video coaching. If you need help in manifesting any of your desires, then I can definitely help you. The information is all in the description below. And of course, please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon in order to receive a notification anytime I upload a new video. So let's get started. So last week I posted a video about how it took me 3 months to manifest something that I had a long held story about, and I spoke about how I persisted for those 3 months, and I did a lot of affirmations and I really was very deliberate in that. But of course, not everything needs to take 3 months. The point of my video was not to tell you that you need to spend 3 months doing work. The point of my video was to tell you that I persisted regardless. I persisted regardless because it was something I truly wanted. It was something that was important to me since I was a child. So I did have long-held assumptions. I needed to persist on that. I had a lot of opposing thoughts. Yeah, I did need to do a lot of work on that. But at the same time, I want you to know that you can also manifest without doing anything. And I have several stories to share with you that demonstrate that you don't always need to do all this work. And I had a follower ask me this question. She said, why do we need to do all these techniques for several months if creation is finished, if it can be instant? And that's where I share it in a video above, that you don't necessarily need to do that. And I explain when it is that you do need to do some work and when you don't need to do any work. I really do explain it, so I highly recommend you watch that video. But in this video, I'll be sharing with you some of the amazing manifestations that I had that were pretty big. Some of these took me several days, some of them may have taken a few weeks, but they really were super easy and fast. The first one was in relation to a business that I used to own about 10 years ago, and short of 10 years ago. And I had an investor. So I had a business that I was running that was backed by an investor. And I was working in that business. It had been almost 6 or 7 years, and I really had built it up to what I wanted, but it was no longer my purpose. The thing I want to tell you, your desires are always leading you on your path of highest potential. When I say this, I'm talking to you from experience. When I started that business, I believe I started it 2007 or 8. I started prepping for it in 2007. It went live in 2008. I was following my desires and my joy in that moment. And really, essentially, I wanted to pursue something that was my own. I had an idea for many years that I wanted to implement. I thought it was a great business idea. I was following my passion. Was it my purpose? I was not even on that level, to be honest. I was not there. Like, I didn't know what my purpose was. I just felt I wanted to have my own business. I wanted to have my own thing. And it was a great business idea, and I wanted to do it. And I did it. And I started it. And shortly thereafter, through my actual business, I started to hire business coaches to help me. So I worked with several business coaches to help me in my business. And I realized that I wanted to actually help people through coaching. People were asking me, like when I was doing my business, I would get questions from people. Well, how did you do this? How did you do that? And I found myself automatically wanting to help others in that, in pursuing their passions. So it became clear to me through this business what my purpose was. And sometime around the year 2013, I really started to feel I wanted to shift into that. But I had an investor. In that moment, I was no longer aligned with that business. I had assumptions going on around that business. It was an advertising driven model. And I had assumptions that the market was not heading in a direction that was supporting the business model that I had. That was, of course, just an assumption. And if I truly had the desire to persist, I could have worked on those assumptions. I just did not want to do that anymore. I wanted to shift to what I felt was my purpose, which was coaching. And at that time, I could not do that because I had an investor, right? But somewhere in me, I knew I needed to decide that I was going to move on. And I said, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I want to focus on coaching full time. I need this to go away. And one of my friends at the time told me, well, how are you going to make that happen? I said, I don't know. And I was getting a little bit nervous about that because I didn't know how that was going to happen. Guys, I did not affirm. I did not say anything. I said, it will happen on its own. I'm not going to think about it. I'm getting off the topic. Meanwhile, I continued doing the work that I was doing, right? And within a few days, it was about 10 days or less, I got called in by the investor's office, by the guy from the investor's office. And it was unusual that they were contacting me. I went there and he told me, Muna, we feel that the market is not in our favor. And he actually mirrored back to me exactly what I was thinking about the market. And he's saying, I don't see how we can make this happen with the current business model. We need to change the business model to something that's going to work for us. And I told him, I can't go down that path. This is not the path I foresee. He's like, well, then you know what? There's no harm in us parting ways. And I'm just sitting there thinking about it. And he was apologetic, like he was justifying why we need to part ways and maybe this is whatever. And he's trying to convince me. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, you don't need to convince me. Of course, I didn't say that, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you don't need to convince me. I'm on board with this. And we just parted ways like that. There were contracts, there were financial obligations on both parties. There was all kinds of things binding us together, yet we amicably decided to part ways, and we just signed some documentation that allowed that to happen. So they told me, you don't owe us anything, we'll just part ways, and that's that. That took me less than 10 days. I did not affirm, I did not do anything. All I did was I said this is my intention, and I shifted away from it. This is life purpose, guys. Like I was aligning with my life. This was huge for me. Like I really wanted to shift into coaching. And that was big for me. That was really big. And I just got off the topic. I did not affirm. I did not do anything. And that happened just like that. Like people were shocked. Like my friend, the one I told, she said, how is that even possible? And yeah, that is exactly how I manifested that. The second big manifestation for me was several years ago. I had been working on my business. Like I've been self-employed for 10 years, more, since 2011. And one of the things that someone told me right before I quit my full-time job, I actually did start my business while I was a full-time employee. I was in the corporate world when I started that first business that I mentioned earlier. But I quit my job in 2011. And right before I quit my job, I heard two different people say something to me that really got stuck in my head. The first one told me, why would you leave your lavish career in finance? I'm sure you're getting a really good salary. That got stuck in my head. The second one told me, when I went full-time in my business, I really started to think about my spending. And she told me anything I wanted to spend on, I would think twice before I spent on it. I would say, do I really need this? Both of these got stuck in my head. And for years into that, I would really not spend on myself. I really did follow that. Both of them really got stuck because I started to say, well, I need to be careful in how I spend. And I was also investing in my company, right? So I was putting back money into my company. I was being very careful. I did not want to compromise on my living arrangement. So I was living in a nice apartment. I did not want to give that up. But at the same time, I wasn't spending on myself the way I used to when I was in the corporate world, when I had a full-time job. And one day I was in the mall, and this had been years of me really having a strong grip on things. And I have to tell you that when I did that, I wasn't manifesting more than what I needed. I was only manifesting the money for the things I needed. And I never had excess. It was tight. Things were tight, right? And one day I was walking in the mall and I went into a store. It was the new season for a new collection. I believe it was Karen Millen, I remember. And I was looking at all these nice clothes, those nice outfits, and they're all for the new season. And Karen Millen is not cheap. It's also not that expensive, but yeah, I mean, you would have to spend about $200 or $300 for a nice outfit. And I thought to myself, it's been so long that I have not been able to spend on myself the way I like. I really would love to be able to just buy the things I want when I want. That was the thing that ran through my head. And I let that go. I never affirmed, I never did anything. I just went on with my life. But that was a very clear intention that I set in my mind. And I kid you not, guys, within 3 weeks, money was flowing in like never before. And I did not realize that I could get whatever I want within 3 weeks of setting that intention. It actually took me about 6 months to realize that intention was manifested within 3 weeks. I didn't even realize. When I looked back, I realized, well, wow, within 3 weeks, I could have actually gone out and bought anything that I wanted when I wanted. But because I was so programmed in not spending on things that I wanted, I was only spending on things that I needed, it took me 6 months to notice that I actually can get what I want when I want. It took me 6 months to realize that. But essentially, I manifested it in 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, I could have gone out and gotten a brand new wardrobe from the place that I wanted. So that took me 3 weeks. I did not affirm. I did not do anything. Things just unfolded for me in a way where money was just now flowing in much more. That's the second manifestation that was just amazing. The third manifestation was also, again, happened very fast. And it's actually happened at the same time as my second manifestation. It was in the same, the money flowed in as a result of that as well. So they're kind of interconnected. The third one was, I said I would like to have a cushion of money in my bank account. At any point in time, I wanted to have a minimum amount that always was there. And it wasn't a small amount that I put. I set an intention for a pretty big amount. And I affirmed for that, but not that much. I said I always have a minimum of X in my bank account at all times. And I affirmed for that randomly, sporadically, not consistently. And again, that happened very fast. Within a couple of weeks, I can't even remember, but it was not a long time. And I was not affirming. I just said that. It was like an intention I set. And for over 2 years, I had that minimum balance in my account. It just happened just like that. I did not affirm that. For this one, I affirmed. It was very random. It was more like me declaring my intention. Again, that was super fast. It happened very quickly and easily for me. So these are examples of 3 big manifestations that I manifested super fast with very little effort. And this is how it is, guys. Just have a clear intention and you can manifest it. Just don't keep any opposing thoughts. The common denominator in all 3 examples is that I did not have opposing thoughts. I got off the topic completely. And that is how I manifested. So I hope this is some encouragement for you during the holiday seasons to set some intention. And don't wait till the new year. I know it's around the corner. Don't wait till the new year to set your intentions. Just be clear and get off the topic, and you can manifest them super fast. If it's you feel that you want to affirm, then absolutely affirm. I always, like when I work with my clients, I do give them affirmations, but I also give them options. I give them options. You may want to visualize, you may want to just not do anything and just go with the flow. That's my suggestion. If you have a lot of opposing thoughts, then yes, affirm, because you've been subconsciously creating your reality. You want to be conscious about it. But if you're able to just get off the topic altogether and not question and doubt and say, how am I going to get it? How's this going to happen? Then you absolutely can do it through strict mental diet to get off the topic, and you can manifest. If you're not able to, affirm. That's where the affirmations are very powerful. I hope you liked this video. If you did, then please hit the thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.